And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Cenk Uygur has left the left. Now, he didn't explicitly say that he was leaving the left or quitting the party, but the writing on the wall is clear. Now, Cenk is trying to play defensive. He's saying the Democratic Party is bad, they do bad things, here's what they've become. The response from a lot of people is, Cenk, we know what this means, and we know where you're going. The response from Cenk Uygur, of course, was, I am not abandoning my policy positions because a party is bad, but this is what we all know to be true.
Well, looky here. Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, following in the footsteps of his co-host Anna Kasparian. Apparently, he is leaving the left. I have to admit, I've done quite a few videos. I've commented on quite a few videos with the Young Turks. And while we all know that Anna Kasparian has been leaving the left for quite some time now, and officially announced it a month or two ago, looks Cenk Uygur recently has been sounding quite reasonable. So let's see what he had to say.
You see, I, Tim Pool, a moderate, libertarian-leaning, liberal individual, have not abandoned any of my policy positions. For the most part, they remain the same. I sit here arguing with people from a libertarian perspective on being pro-choice and supporting, to a degree, universal basic health care and taxing the rich. I'm a moderate. I'm not far left on those issues. I am not a libertarian. I do not believe in laissez-faire free market. And I am far right, they say. Now, I'm not far right, of course. But the left says that unless you agree with every single thing, then you are far right. So Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, congratulations. You joined the ranks of Anna Kasparian, Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, Joe Rogan, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk. The list goes on of disaffected liberals who have said, y'all are crazy, and then left the left. Let me show you the tweet from Cenk Uygur himself. He says, when I became a Democrat, it was the more tolerant party. Republicans were run by religious nut jobs and corporate robots. Now the Democrats are in a lot of ways the less tolerant party. The least tolerant part is actually the establishment wing of the party that says anyone opposing their anointed leaders is committing heresy. If you try to give constructive criticism to the party to improve it, they drive you from the party while screaming, he's not a real Democrat. They hate populists. They have become the corporate robots I couldn't stand. They hate their base. They insult our intelligence by pretending that the donors are not in charge. They think we should be controlled and learn how to follow orders, and they have no idea how elitist they sound. Predictably, their unironic reaction to this post will be, heretic! Cenk, respect. Cenk has this clip that went viral where he was yelling at Professor Alan Lichtman, the guy who predicted Kamala would win, and he said, I debated you on this. Your keys were insane. And I'm like, yes, Cenk, you're right. Here's the issue. We all come through the flames at different times. I, of course, realized what was going on with the Democratic Party the whole time. I laughed when Donald Trump won. I still hold many liberal views, and I tried desperately to save the Democrats from themselves in 2019. I supported Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard, despite their leftist views on the border, for instance. Mostly Yang, but all of them. And, you know, here I am now supporting the Republicans across the board. Cenk is now realizing what many of us found out a long time ago. And okay, respect. We all come through the flames in our own time. Now, I love this response. Rocco Carafano says, we all know where this ends. And Cenk says, no, you actually don't. I've changed none of my policy positions. The right wing has so many positions that I disagree with, so I don't know what's going to happen with these two parties that are in flux as we speak, but I'm not sacrificing my policy positions for any party. Elon Musk said, yeah. Charlie Kirk says, I respect the honesty. Been fighting entrenched establishment powers on the right for years.
Well, this is a good point. Just because you're leaving the left doesn't mean you embrace the Republicans. I personally can't stand the Republican Party. You know, for me, they're basically the same as the Democrats at this point, or the Democrats are the same as Republicans, or I don't know who's worse. It's supposedly a two-party system, but it's just become a uni-party system where, you know, the party elites are just beholden to corporate interests. The corporate capture of American politics is more or less complete. You know, I think somebody once said it would be good wouldn't it be good if all members of the House of Representatives and all senators had to wear jackets which like NASCAR racing drivers, and the jackets showed they had patches on to show who sponsored them, who sponsored them, who their donors were, so everyone could see whenever you saw them. You could see immediately on their person who their donors were. I think that would be a good idea. Maybe something like that should be imposed. It should be immediately obvious who you're looking at and who you're talking to when you talk to a politician.
Colin Wright shows the meme that we all experienced. In 2008, we were on the left. Then the left shot so far left, the center is not to the left of us, technically. Or they're just super far left. With Cenk Uygur saying, no, I've not changed any of my policy positions, meaningless. Neither have I. I've become more pro 2A, that's for sure, but I was never anti-gun in the first place. I was in the middle of the road. I was like, there's some background checks and some regulations, and then someone argued to me, it's a constitutional right. If you want to take that right away, we can take away any constitutional right, so it's got to be amended. I said, good point. The Constitution must be amended, and so long as it's not, you do not get to infringe upon our rights. Agreed. So what are my opinions? I don't know. I think we should have universal basic health care. What does that mean? Yeah, look, someone breaks a bone or gets the flu, we'll give you Tamiflu, we'll set the bone. That's easy stuff. But if you got a deep cancer, like some serious stuff that medical technology can't deal with, nah, sorry. So I think there's got to be a basic level of health care. That's my opinion on it. I think this would be a good thing. But I am skeptical of government programs. I don't think they work very efficiently. So how do we do it? I mean, you could do this through a voucher program. Everybody gets a voucher credit, and then you choose which hospital you go to with a government redeemable voucher. That prevents the bureaucratic mishmash nightmare. I don't know for sure. I also think that people who make lots of money should face a higher scaling progressive tax, though I'm not a big fan of how the government spends taxes, and a lot of the problems can be solved through reallocating taxes. I do believe that a progressive tax system makes sense because power and revenue itself is also progressive. That is to say, a person who makes $10 million a year has infinitely more power than a person who makes $200,000 a year, yet we tax them all at a comparable rate. I'll put it this way, man. I understand there's a lot of libertarians saying, nah, man, people should keep everything they have. My concern is it is a historical fact that wealth inequality, meaning the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer, destabilizes nations. I'm not going to go into great detail on this, and I'm certainly open to debating the idea. But my point is this. Largely, my policy positions have stayed relatively the same, yet they call me right-wing. Cenk, this is you leaving the left in much the same way many of us had.
So there we have it. Yeah, Tim Pool was going off on some policy proposals. Universal health care sounds good. I think a serious country should have that too, but a serious country wouldn't let itself be invaded by huge waves of migrants from the third world who completely disrupt the social fabric and completely disrupt things like healthcare and education and all that and cause social tensions. So before you can have something like universal healthcare, so like Americans typically, when I talk to them, they say, oh, you live in Europe, wow, you guys have socialized medicine and all that. Yeah, European countries are much smaller, and until relatively recently, they were much more homogeneous in their population. That, of course, has changed too in many European countries, Western European countries, due to mass migration, which I am completely against. And as a result of that, more stress and strain is put on these enlightened social systems like universal healthcare, like universal free education, or super cheap higher education, for example. So those kinds of nice to have things can only exist if you keep your country nice to have. You have to tightly police your country, and I mean tightly police in the sense of you got to keep the native population, the indigenous people, you have to take care of them. It's all about the leaders of a country have to take care of their own people, not be looking out, not taking care of people from other parts of the world who have no place in that country, nor should they be looking to wage war around the world like America does, since America is the big global empire. So, there's always that to bear in mind too when you're talking about these kind of programs. But First things first, I mean, we came here to talk about Cenk leaving the left. Okay, we'll see. I'm sure there'll be a lot more about this. Frankly, I don't, it's good to see him being less of a madman. He claims he hasn't changed his policy positions. Maybe that's true. He always calls himself a progressive and a populist. We'll see. We shall see. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. And if you have any idea for videos you want me to comment on, maybe with a more European bent, because, the last few weeks, because of the American election, I've really been focusing on American issues from a European perspective. But, if you want to see more European issues, let me know in the comments. I really appreciate it. And in the meantime, like and subscribe. Really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.